Hello world, and welcome to the weekly challenge. This week's challenge is Rendezvous. We have to make 2 stock ships meet in orbit. I'm also going to transfer the crew between them, effectively also completing the crew transfer challenge, which comes in a later week. As you can see here, I already have 1 ship in a circular orbit of about 175 kilometers. I am going to launch another ship, and hopefully we can get them to meet up in orbit. Alright, here we are on the launch pad. Bob Kerman is our pilot today. Bill Kerman is in the other capsule that is in orbit already. And hopefully we can get them to meet up. This is our ship, conveniently named the Rendezvous. This is Rendezvous 2, the one in orbit is the Rendezvous 1. It is basically, it's a single 3-meter engine with 4 liquid fuel boosters in an onion configuration. That means these fuel tanks will be used to burn both the outside engines and the inside engine until they're out of fuel, then they will drop away from the rest of the rockets. On top, we have a simple craft. It just has an SAS, some RCS fuel, and RCS thrusters, and a small engine. This large engine will get us into our orbit. The smaller rocket is only going to be used for the actual rendezvous procedure and deorbiting. Without further ado, let's get ready to launch. I'm going to turn my throttle up to about 66%. This is a very strong rocket. Oh, I messed up the staging a little bit. There we go. I'm going to turn my SAS on, and here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ends liftoff. I just want to say thank you for the response that the first episode of this series got. In all honesty, I did not think it was that great, but you guys obviously enjoyed it, which is great to hear. I love it when my viewers enjoy my videos, so I will do more of these. And that was a comma, but should have been a period. For those of you that don't know, a huge hurricane is about to hit the East Coast, and I do live in the danger zone, so if I do not post any videos this week, you can assume that I lost power. This is actually very likely, and it could happen any minute now, as the storm is going on outside right now as we're talking. Okay, let's start our gravity turn. I'm a bit worried as the last rocket, for the other rocket that I launched, we still had our boosters on at this point, so this is obviously not performing my ascent as efficiently as I did the first time. However, I did have plenty of fuel when I got into orbit, so I don't think this would be a problem. Okay, our apoapsis is now outside of the atmosphere. I'm going to coast until I get. I'm going to wait till we get to our apoapsis. Then I'm going to push the other side of our orbit out to meet the height of the other rendezvous ship, which is at 175 kilometers. There we are, our apoapsis is now at 175 kilometers. I'm going to warp to our apoaps. We're going to circularize, then I'm going to start the rendezvous procedure. I actually kind of passed my apoaps, but that's no problem. I'm just gonna burn upwards a little bit to bring it back towards us. It's a very useful technique, and not a lot of people know about this, actually. It's one of those things that no one really talks about. Okay, our periapse is now at 172. I'm gonna come closer to our apoapse so we can get a more precise burn. Alrighty. There we go. 175 by 175.2 by 175.3. Pretty good circular orbits. Now, let me see. Okay, now it's time to start our rendezvous procedure. The first thing we're going to do is match the inclinations of our orbits. What this means is, as you can see, the two paths of the two ships are not, even though they're at the same height, they are not actually at the same latitude. You could say that one is above the other in terms of north and south. To fix this problem, we have to wait until we get to one of the nodes. This is the point where the two orbital paths will cross and be at the same plane. That seems to be right around over here. At that point, I'm going to burn south to bring this blue line down to meet the white line. At that point, we will have both orbits will be in the same inclination. Okay, I am now at the orbital node. I'm going to burn directly south. Technically, you're supposed to burn a little bit away from south if you're on an inclined orbit, which I am. But it's so slightly inclined that I don't feel it'll be a big difference. You can see that I am affecting the altitude of my orbit because I did not do so, but this is easily correctable. Okay, now I feel that the two orbits are in a nearly perfect height. Maybe I could lower this one a little bit more, but I'm not gonna be too picky. In fact, I probably lowered it more than I needed to, but it's fine. I'm now gonna go back to my apoapse and raise my. Oh no, it's still good. It's still good. Yeah, it's still good. So this comes the hard part. This is the part of Rendezvous that even NASA scientists took a very long time to figure out. In fact, they had multiple failed rendezvous missions before they had their first success. You see, the thing is, when you're in space, things make a lot less sense. Intuition would say that the ship that's in front needs to slow down in order to let the other ship catch up. This is in fact not the case. When you slow down, i.e. burn retrograde, you're going to lower your orbit, and by lowering your orbit, your orbital period will actually speed up. Your orbital period will be lower. Because of this, if you actually burn towards your target craft, you will actually move further away from it over time. The trick is to burn in the opposite direction of the target craft. In other words, if I am ahead of the target craft in my orbit, I want to raise my orbit in order to increase the period of my orbit. After doing one or two orbits, the two ships will come closer together. Then the first craft can then circularize again once they're close. And when you're within about a kilometer or two, you can use RCS thrusters to meet up together and then recircularize your orbit. So, I'm going to say that Rendezvous 1 is the target craft and Rendezvous 2 is the rendezvousing craft. I don't know what the term is. So what I'm going to do, since our target craft is behind us in its orbit, we are going to burn prograde in order to raise the altitude of our orbits. In a perfect world, I could raise my orbit to the perfect altitude so that the orbital period will meet up with the other craft in one orbit. However, I'm not that smart, so I'm just gonna raise it to, let's say, I'm gonna raise the other side of the orbit to 200 kilometers and see that where that takes us. There we go. Alright, so let's complete one orbit and see how much closer we got to it. As you can see, that didn't do much at all. I was obviously too conservative in how high I put my orbit, so I'm going to put it at 300 kilometers and hope that that's not too much. Now let's see where this takes us. Okay, that did a good amount of work. I'm going to lower it a little bit and complete one more orbit. So let's burn retrograde to lower our apoapse, and let's see where that takes us. As you can see, the two ships are even closer now. I'm going to lower our apoapse even more. I still want to keep it above the target orbit though. Let's see where that takes us. As you can see, the two craft are now almost right on top of each other. However, this is probably not close enough to Rendezvous. Let us see if we can see our target craft in the... Ooh, let me lower my orbit first. Let me match the target orbit again. Okay, now that our orbits are nearly matched, let us see if we can see our target craft from... Okay. We are only 13 kilometers apart. What can I do to get us even closer? Okay, let us see exactly how high our orbit is. Our orbit is 175.6 by 175.4. Let's see what the target orbit is. The target orbit is 173.8 by 175.1. As you can see, our target orbit is just a little bit lower than our orbit. So, but since the target craft is still a bit behind, I'm going to let this slide for an orbit or two. Until then, I'm going to try to fix our inclination again. Just so you know, the terms north and south are technically incorrect. The term I should be saying normal and anti-normal. Normal is in a prograde 90-degree orbit. Normal would be north and anti-normal would be south. However, depending on the inclination of your orbit, normal and anti-normal will actually be in different directions. For example, if you're in a polar orbit, normal would be east or west, depending on which way your orbit is going. So now our inclinations are nearly matched. I don't think I could do any better than this. Let us check again how close we are. 8 kilometers. I'm going to let the other ship catch up a bit. I'm going to stay in the normal view so we can see exactly how close the other ship is. It should come to a closest point, and then as it passes underneath us, and at that point we will try to perform the last part of our rendezvous procedure. As you can see, the target ship is very close to us now. It's just within 2.5 kilometers. I'm going to wait just a little bit more to see if we can get it closer. Okay, at this point, the target craft is passing directly underneath us. This is the moment of truth. We can't let it pass us, otherwise we're gonna have to start all over again. If you look closely, we're actually making visual contact with the other ship. In this case, I'm going to burn directly, I think I'm gonna burn directly towards the planet in order to bring my orbit down. I'm actually at this point, I'm going to ignore the rules I said earlier and try to burn directly towards the ship to catch up. At this point, the two ships are within a kilometer of each other. If we look closely, we can clearly see the glint of the other ship in the background of space. It is still behind us, however, I believe. Or no, did it pass us? I'm not sure. Which way is forward? I don't even know anymore. Okay, it still has not passed us. I don't know why the map view says it did. Oh, that's because I'm looking at the map view upside down. Okay. So again, let's wait for it to get as close as possible before we make any changes. At this point now, it's above us. Uh-oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, yeah, at this point the orbits are too close to actually help us to actually make the map view any help. We're gonna have to do this all by eye. At this point, the other craft is actually moving away from us. I'm going to simply point our craft at the target craft in an attempt to catch it. Since we can't dock, I'm going to call a rendezvous within 500 meters. Or within, you know, we'll try to get as close as possible, I guess. But this is pretty darn close. I could simply get Bob out of his ship and jetpack him over there if I wanted. This is the sort of moment I wish I had a mech jeb. This is very frustrating. Don't be fooled, I have done this before and I do know what I'm doing. I'm just doing a horrible job, it seems. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. I wish I was on the day side so I can actually see the other ship. However, I feel if I did do so, we would totally lose it by then. We are now further than a kilometer away from it again. This is not going very well. I don't know why, even though it's looks like it's coming closer to us, it is getting further away. I guess I'm just way above it now. This is very frustrating. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me burn retrograde. No, I want to burn prograde. Yep, okay. We got within 500 meters though. At this point, I can't really catch up to it again. I don't know what I did wrong, but for some reason I just couldn't get the two ships to come close enough to one another. Okay, let's try this again. Let us try this again. Alright. What do we need to do? At this point now our target craft is further ahead of us. Let's burn retrograde here. Because to lower our... Actually, let's burn retrograde at our periapse. Bring that down to 175 to meet the other craft. Okay, it's a bit high and a bit low, I mean. Okay. Okay, now we are in a lower orbit than the target craft, so let's just let this orbit go through a few times. Let's go to our target craft and make its orbit more circular. because it's the eccentricity of its orbit is kind of messing me up, and I think that's why our last try did not go so well. It's also in a lower orbit than I wanted it to be. I don't know how. I could have sworn that I left it in a 175 by 175 orbit, but somehow it's in a 173 by 175 orbit. But let's fix that. I'm going to burn prograde here to raise the orbit of the target craft. Okay, now we're at 175.5 and 175.1. That is good enough. Let's go back to our rendezvous craft. Now that we're in a lower orbit than our target craft, the target craft is 175 by 175. We're in 170 by 175. I'm just gonna let it run through a few orbits so we slowly get closer to our target craft without passing it. Okay, even though I said I would try not to, I still overshot the target orbit. So I'm going to now raise my orbit again. Let's put out 180 by 175. Okay. Now let's let this run through an orbit in order to see how close it gets. Okay, we again passed our target orbit, however not by much, so I'm going to lower our orbit to 175 by 174 and see how close that gets us again. Okay, 175 and 173, close enough. Okay, at this point I'm going to use RCS thrusters instead of my main engine, just so I can get a more precise reading. I'm gonna move this to 174, like just under 175. Okay, now let's see where that takes us. Oh, except we passed it, so I should have raised it. Gosh darn it. Silly me, silly me. Okay, that had the exact opposite effect that I was working that I wanted, mostly because I did the exact opposite of what I should have done. I want to raise my orbit a little bit. Okay, let's just put it at 1.6. Okay, now let us see how much closer we get. Okay, since it didn't fully get us behind, I'm going to lower our orbit just a bit and see, but still be higher than the other craft in order to let it catch up. But it's just gonna this orbit's gonna have a very small difference, nearly indistinguishable. We can make visual contact soon, probably. Or did it pass us? I can't tell. I am having trouble telling. Okay, now we should be pretty darn close to the other craft. I don't know where it is though. Okay, it is further south than us, so we need to make an inclination change. First, I'm going to lower our orbit so that we do not get any closer or further away to the craft in terms of where we are on our orbit. I'm going to wait till use the map view to see where our node is. We'll know it's our node because the target orbit will pass over the equator in front of us. Okay, now I need to burn south, I believe? No, I need to burn north. Okay. Okay, we are a bit in a slightly higher orbit, so I'm gonna wait till we get to our periaps and then lower our orbit again. Or are we? Let's just see what happens as it gets closer over. Does it get closer or further away over a course of a single orbit? No, okay. It gets closer. We are within 300 meters now. We should be able to make eye contact very soon. We probably would be able to make eye contact if it weren't night. 200 meters. $200 meters now. Okay. We are very close. Okay, at this time we can make out the other craft. Kind of hard to see at this angle, but you can see its shadow clearly against the day. Let's see if we get any... Okay. But we are now coming away from it. Since we can make visual contact, this is considered rendezvous. I'm going to switch the two pilots in EVA. This is a very delicate procedure because we might accidentally leave one ship stranded in space, so we want to be as fast as possible with this transfer between the two ships. I should go ahead and note that no procedure like this has ever been performed in the real world. All rendezvous have... Any rendezvous that have traded crew have all docked. A crew has never switched with another crew via EVA. That would be just insane in real life. But this is the Kerbal Space Program, and we are allowed to be insane. Alright, here we go. Alright, Bill is now in the Rendezvous 2, and let's put Bob into the Rendezvous 1. There we go! We have a successful docking, not docking, but a successful crew transfer and rendezvous. Our mission is complete. That's all for this time, and I will see you out there.